Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of A Holy Rust Revival. I'm Rob Smith, your host. The shop is full of 1967 vehicles. 1967 Mustang, 1967 Ford F100. If you were to have walked on the dealership lot in 1967, most likely you would have seen these two vehicles on the lot. Well, this episode, I'm asking for your assistance once more. One of the last episodes, I actually asked your advice on a Jeep that I should take and go off-roading with, and that I did in Colorado. I took your advice, and it was the choice between a 1946 CJ2A or a 1973 CJ5. Even though I wanted to take the 2A off-roading, you all thought it would be best that I took the 5. And look, your decision was no doubt the best decision to make. The old CJ5 did great in Colorado. I had the time of my life, and it was one of those things on my bucket list that I was able to knock off. Well, let me put up a few pictures, if you don't mind, of January 2024. We pulled that Jeep out of the woods, and in 5 months, what all did I have going in my life? My oldest son got married. I had to build a barn within that 5-month period, a 7,000 square foot barn, by the way. We pulled a 1973 Jeep CJ5 out of the woods. It had a locked up engine, and it had a transmission with broken teeth on the gears. And somehow, with all of that going on in that 5-month period, we were able to restore that Jeep, get it back to running condition, and take it 2,000 miles from Mississippi to Colorado. Well, maybe 1,500 miles. It was a 24-hour drive, by the way, each way. And drove those trails out in the San Juan Mountains. So here's a few pictures, okay, of that. And then when we get done with these pictures, I need to ask you which project needs to be next. So here's where I am. If you haven't figured me out by now, you may understand and know that I've got to have a goal in the back of my mind when I'm working on a restoration project. I need something to work toward. For the Jeep, it was the San Juan Mountains. Back when Braden and I redid his 67 Mustang, it was the Natchez Trace. We were getting it ready to go spring break from the bottom of the Natchez Trace in Mississippi all the way up to Nashville, Tennessee. In most other vehicles that I had built, I've got a common goal in mind, and I've got a good goal in mind for this one, this 1967 Mustang. Ultimately, my wife wants to do as much of Route 66 as we can in this car when it's done. But it is now July, late July 2024, and I'm kind of at a crossroads as to which project to work on next. Would you like to see me continue working on this, but it's not going to end in a trip anytime soon, a road trip, okay? Ultimately it will, but it won't be in the short term for sure. But again, I said it was July 2024, and in October, July, August, September, October, 3 months away, I would really like to take a road trip in something to see some pretty leaves somewhere. And I would like for it to be in an old vehicle that belongs to me, that I built. So, this one, even though it's nasty, I'm embarrassed to show you the shape that it's in now. It's been sitting in the barn, and it is roadworthy. I drive this truck, believe it or not, even though the last 5 months it's been put up. I have owned this truck since I was 4 years old, and I am now 51, which means I've owned this truck 47, 48 years total. How many folks can say that they've owned the same pickup truck since they were 4 years old? But my granddaddy gave this to me many, many years ago before he passed away when I was in the 2nd grade. And this vehicle is probably the reason why we have this channel. This is what started it all for me. I have loved this truck from day one of birth. Even though I received it at 4 years old, it has been working on this farm since before I was born. 6 years before I was born. So I don't think this truck has ever left Mississippi. It's very rarely ever left this farm, even though I have driven it to Meridian a time or two recently just to run it and keep it going. I don't think it's been out of the Tri-County area here ever in its life. So this one is the one that would be special to me to work on for the next 3 months, to take on a fall road trip somewhere, even though I am itching to get back on the Mustang. So what I'm asking you to be is the voice of reason right now. Where do I focus my energy? Do I put it back in my cherished old truck that I have known for all of my life? Or do I continue making progress on the Mustang? Personally, if you want to know my personal opinion, I'd rather work on my old boy here. This one is going to require a lot of welding, getting in the floor plan, getting underneath. And y'all, it is still super hot in Mississippi. It's July. This one would require more wrenching, fixing. I'm going to take you around just a minute and show you everything I've done to it so you'll understand where we are. So help me. Y'all please help me. Where do I focus my attention? Because I can't focus it everywhere. As a matter of fact, I'm still building on the barn. We're going to make a barn dominium out of that. Just got approval to build a career technical education center in Lauderdale County, so I'll be overseeing that project. So my time has not slowed down. Even though I want to keep these kind of projects going, it'll most likely be at night and when I'm supposed to be sleeping when I work on these things. Okay, let me grab the camera, and I'm itching to show you what I've done to my old bad boy over the years. Let's look at the Mustang so we can evaluate where we are there. If you can remember some of my previous videos, we did torque boxes. Everything from here up is complete. We put in a new radiator core support, new battery box holder. All of the suspension is completely brand new. New springs, new shocks, new bushings. All of that is perfect. The front end is in good shape in this car. Remember, I had to drive all the way to, where did I go to get this hood? Almost to Atlanta, Georgia, to find this hood, because the original car, well, the car was missing the hood when I bought it, and the original car had these blinker recesses in there. Actually, there's supposed to be blinker lights on the back side of this, but the inserts are out of it right now. But it looks like a hood scoop, but really you're supposed to be able to see the blinkers from in there. That was kind of an accessory back then. The hood is lined up perfectly. The springs work perfectly. You might remember from a previous video that we put a Borgeson power steering system in. All new joints here. New battery tray. So from the firewall to the front, we are in good shape. Okay, my dog's after something, y'all. What is it, Kip? We've had a chicken snake eating our eggs. He looks a little riled up. Get that chicken snake, son. Get it. Okay, so that's the good part. The good part is from here up we're done, okay? from here back, not so much. Where we left off was I had pulled this cowl section out, and none of this is secure yet, even though I have cleaned it up and it's ready to weld and seal in. This is something that's got to be done. So the very next thing, if I were to work on this car, would be to finish this cowl section, finish welding all this up and mating all this back together, because my ultimate goal is I want to get the motor and the transmission stuck back in this thing, because it is in the way over there in my shop. That beautiful 289, by the way. You might have seen a picture of it, but just for the sake of this video and helping us make logical decisions about what we need to do. Oh, there's that beauty right there, y'all. That is a numbers matching 289 that has been completely machined, completely worked out. It's got a kind of a street strip cam in it, and yeah, it's got some very nice headers to go on it. So that's going to be a sweet setup in that 67 Mustang. And again, that's a numbers matching engine, so I'm very proud to have that. The transmission is a C4, and it was rebuilt when I bought it, but I sent it back to the transmission shop because it's been sitting up for years, and they refreshed all of the seals in it for me, so that's good to go. But as you can see, it's sitting on the floor, and we're now looking in the car, so there's a lot of floor pan work that I've got to do in here, and I have all of those pieces. I've got them in stock, ready to go. This side I have torn out, and I'm going to weld all of this in firm before I start tearing out over there and making that floor pan in good shape. So there's a lot of work to be done there. As far as the rest of the car, the quarter panels have actually already been replaced in this car before. We've got some rust in the A-pillars that I've got to deal with and address, because these hinges are weak because of that rust, and that's something I can deal with. But there is a ton of work that's got to be done to this car to get it ready to go. But it's a project worthy of continuing, okay? It's not in bad shape. Again, these quarter panels are perfect. Trunk lid is not in the best of shape. It's got a lot of Bondo in it, but I'm kind of planning on replacing that lid if one falls in my lap. Otherwise, I've got some issues in these drip rails here, really bad issues actually, and I'm thinking about shaving those off completely, unless I can find some good drip rails. They don't really make them for the coupe, even though I've seen the drip rails for the fastback. But if you've seen good drip rails somewhere that are replaceable, let me know. Just let me know in the comments or something. Okay, so that's where we are on this car. Steering column, you know, heater box. I mean, there's just a ton of work that's got to be done here. So yeah, we won't be making a fall trip in this one by any means. Okay. Oh, I love this old truck. My goodness, I love this old truck. So let me tell you what I've done to this truck over the years. Back when I was in high school, it had a flatbed on it. And if some of my friends are watching, they'll remember that I had a flatbed on it. I've since put a short wheelbase box bed on it. The truck originally came with a step side bed. And if a step side bed were to ever fall in my lap, that's what I would put back on it. The truck has not so good tires on the front. That would need to be replaced before I left off on a road trip. The rear tires are 10-inch wide rims with some very fat tires on the back. So I've got really good tires on the back. And the reason I've got fat rims, as you can see, those wheels are much deeper than those wheels. I don't know if you can tell the major difference. But in 1967, they had parts left over from the 66 and earlier Fords, which had a narrower track. So they had a narrow rear axle, Ford 9-inch in the back of these things, with a wide track front end. So it looked kind of goofy going down the road with the tires sunk in more. It doesn't make sense, but they were just using leftover parts from the factory from the previous models and throwing them in these trucks. But they wanted to get to a wider track wheelbase, I guess. So I put these 10-inch wheels on there to make up for that about 2 inches that the wheels were sunk in, so it would look good going down the road. So that's one of my, little upgrades I've done over the years. Also, I pulled the 67 front end out and put the twin I-beam front suspension from I think it was about a 77 Ford. And all the parts matched up, but that gave me the ability to have disc brakes on the front. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but it does have disc brakes, and from a factory type truck. So it's very, very good disc brakes. Used to, when I was in high school driving this truck, it had no brakes whatsoever. And it's a wonder that I'm alive, but now it will throw you through the windshield. That's how good the brakes are. Oh, let's look inside. She needs some cleaning up. Now, some of you experts out there may say that's not a 67 model, because a 67 model Ford had pull handles. That opened it up. Well, I found a good set of doors from about a 71 F100. Those handles were bad about rattling, and that's why they only had those for 1 year, and they went over to this paddle style door. So these doors are replaced, but the 67 was the only year that they had pull out heater controls like that. Quit licking me. I put that beautiful dashboard on there back in high school. Hey, the light even works. See that? I'd have to do some work on the headliner. I did recently put a new steering wheel on it. The other one was so cracked up it was cutting my hand turning curves, but all the gauges work. The dash works. I have already fixed all the floor pans in it from over the years. Dogs like riding in it. So interior wise, it would just be a matter of cleaning up. I want to put a good coating on the floor and put a mat back in it. So all of this will be pretty easy to do in here because I've done a lot of the work. I've also put new seals on it in the last couple of years. I've also put new seals in the windows, so the windows don't rattle, and it's got seals that don't leak all the way around. I put new seals in the windows here, so all of that is in very good shape. All right, let's look under the hood. I'm gonna have to cut the video for just a second to get this old hood up. You know, in these trucks, you got to use 2 hands. Hold on. Okay, here's where the magic happens. Now I know what you're thinking, Smith. Why don't you yank that old 6-cylinder out and put you a nice hefty old V8 in there? I will not. I will never, ever do that to this truck. My granddaddy loves straight 6s, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a big fan of them as well. I must have gotten that from my granddaddy. Did you know that I can actually stand in here and work on this engine if I had to? But I don't have to. Look, I can change my oil filter from up here. I can access every spark plug just that easy. Look how simple that is. Fuel filter right here. Brake master cylinder, everything I can stand here and touch and reach without having to go through a whole lot of effort. And I love that. I love that in a 6-cylinder straight 6. And by the way, this originally came with a 240 straight 6 engine. And one of my hot rod things I did back in high school, and I don't know how I researched this or figured it out, but the short block went bad. I actually rebuilt it when I was in the 5th grade and ran it for about 5 or 6 years, and it ended up going bad. But in the 5th grade, I put pistons and rings and and inserts in that engine. Didn't last too long, but I was in the 5th grade, okay? But when that went, when I was in junior high, I found a 300 short block remanufactured, okay? So from here to there is a 300 straight 6 engine. From here up is a 240. So let me explain. I left the head. I took the head off the old 240 short block and bolted the head, the 240 head, onto the 300. And what that did is allowed me to have a little more compression inside the cylinders because of a smaller surface area inside that head, but it bolted up perfectly. I didn't have to do any modifications to it whatsoever. So that 240 head bolted onto the 300. Now, when you start modifying, that creates issues, okay? And as you can imagine, I needed more fuel in this engine to compensate for that higher compression. And I've had to run a little bit higher grade of gas as well because of that raised compression in the cylinders. But before we move to fuel, look at electronic ignition. I pulled this electronic ignition out of a mid-90s Ford with a straight 6 engine, and this 67 didn't originally have the computer box that operated that distributor, but that's DuraSpark distributor is what that's called. Also, this truck did not have power steering. When I put the disc brakes front end on, I also put a brake booster cylinder with a dual reservoir master cylinder. So that was a major upgrade and a very good one to make. Okay, here's where the magic of the fuel happens. And so in order to, let me get this off. In order to have better fuel going into this engine, we had to, oh son, look at there, look at there. I installed an Offenhauser 4-barrel intake with a, I believe that's a 500 Edelbrock. And y'all, that perfectly fits this engine. This Edelbrock carburetor smoothed that engine out and is perfect for this engine. So again, if I were to pull this out and put, say, a 302 in there, you realize this is already 300 cubic inches. It's only 2 cubic inches of difference between this 6-cylinder versus that 302 V8. Why would I want to do that? Because this thing is a torque monster. It is hard to hold that power down from this inline 6. And let me show you one other upgrade that I made. It has true duals going all the way from the manifold all the way back. Can you see that? So this setup came from a fuel-injected mid-90s Ford F100 with a straight 6 with a towing package. So it's basically got 3 cylinders dumping into here. Then I've got my 3 back cylinders dumping into that. And I've got true duals all the way out the back of the truck on those 2 pipes. So not only is air getting in good in this engine, it's also getting out very well as well. And y'all, this motor is hard to hold down. I mean, it is a hoss, and I will never change that motor out because my granddaddy loved it. And I'm gonna love it too. And I have loved it all these years. And y'all, if that motor could talk, I'm glad it can't, because that's what got me through my high school years, and even earlier than that. So what upgrades would I make under here? The only thing I would really like to do before I went on a trip was to upgrade that manual steering. And it's not bad, but the bigger wheels that I have added on the front, I mean, those are some pretty good sized tires that you're turning manually. You pretty much have to be moving before you can move it with that manual gearbox. So I already have the brackets for a pump if I ever come up with one. I found these on a junkyard Ford at one time and just stuck them on there so I would have them. So the pump brackets are there. I just need to upgrade to the power steering sector. other than that, I don't know that there was anything else that I would need to do under this hood other than clean it up. And I've got some rust back here on this battery box. I might fix that up a little bit. Got a brand new radiator. So yeah, we're in good shape under here. Transmission, oh, I love it, is the old 3 on the tree. You know, a lot of our youngins don't know much about 3 on the tree anymore. And I'll be honest with you, in high school, I ripped all of this out. And I don't know if you can see the hole, but I've welded it up. I put a floor shifter in it back in high school, and I just thought I was big time, you know, with that floor shifter. But the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that folks don't know about 3 on the tree anymore. So, yeah, I had to do that. You know what? If I take this truck, guess who's going to go on a road trip with me? I think you will, Kip. What you think about it, old Bubs? I think he would be good on a road trip. Very good. That dog is so loyal. It is unbelievable. I'll need some tunes in there. There's a big old gaping hole. Of course, I had a Pioneer Super Tuner 2 in this thing back in high school, but it has long since fried and gone its way. Yeah, so what else do I need to do? Sorry, Kip. Here, let me open the door back for you, bub. You can get out anytime you want. I have, over here, collected some parts. The cab corners. These are the back cab corners. We're not going to be able to see them. But y'all, I've got rust. These trucks are bad about rusting on these cab corners back here. So I've got both of those to replace. I've got some dent and rust issues in the side of this bed. Inside the bed, you can't see it, but can you see daylight over there? There's some rust back there. I would like to treat this bed a little bit. The rear bumper needs a lot of work. It's in pretty bad shape, so I need to fix that up. But all in all, the truck is not in terrible shape. It just needs a little love and attention. And it just needs a road trip to go on. You know what I mean? So, I think, just again, my personal opinion is this truck is more near ready to go on a road trip than this one. So tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Efforts here for 3 months, and then after we get back, we get started on this Mustang, or do I just start rolling into this and just kind of forget about this and ultimately, I guess, just take a road trip in my old Jeep, or I don't know, might get Braden's Mustang out again. Who knows? Oh, I tell you what would be cool. What about Braden's 1967 Mustang and a 1967 F100 on a road trip? Oh, I just had that idea. Like a 1967 Power Tour. Boy, wouldn't that be cool? That's got my wheels turning there, literally. You want to hear it run, don't you? I knew you did. Hold on. Okay, let's make sure she's out of gear. Let me just show you how well this thing, I'm not even going to hit the pedal or anything. Oh, listen to that boy fire up. I mean, just like that. She is tuned well. Tell you, that's a snappy little motor, and that Edelbrock carburetor, I mean, it has no hesitation to it whatsoever. And of course, that electronic ignition just runs and purrs smooth as a kitten. Know you want to hear the tailpipes. There are a lot of people that don't believe that I have a 6-cylinder in there when they hear me go down the road. They will swear by the fact that I have a V8, but it's just those true duals coming all the way out the back. It is a great, great sounding engine. So y'all, I love my truck. I think old Kip likes it too. I do. Is his tail wagging? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Him wants to go for a ride this late at night, but sorry, buddy. I'm just fixing to put it on the battery charger and go to bed. I am so sorry. We'll go ride tomorrow, okay? We'll go ride tomorrow. It is quite an accomplishment when you wear a blue healer out. Look at him. I don't want to mess it up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If you've ever had a blue healer, you know how spastic they are. I really think old Kip he is worn out. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Maybe not. Maybe not. He thinks he's a lap dog, but he's too big to be a lap dog. I think, I think somebody, when he was younger, kept him in their lap all the time, and he thinks he's supposed to continue doing that. Okay, all right, I messed it up. We're back to our normal activities. Oh my goodness. You spastic dog. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's enough. All right, so again, I wouldn't ask you if I didn't really value your advice. What do you think? What project needs to be next? This is just as much your channel as it is my channel. Oh, by the way, the other day I broke my finger, but on the other hand, I'm okay. I'm sorry, that was a terrible dad joke. That was horrible. I'm sorry. I just saw my finger moving around and it just made me think of that dad joke. Here, what about this? Did you know that Bruce Lee had a brother that was quicker than him? You know what his name was? Suddenly. Suddenly. Okay, I'm sorry. It's late. You know, it's late outside. I'm tired, fellas. Got to go get some sleep. Got a big day tomorrow. So, anyway, this is in your hands, y'all. Give me some comments. Tell me what you think I should do. What would be the logical thing for a guy to take off with for the next 2 or 3 months? Hey, thank you. God bless. I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate you sticking with me, and let's continue to have a good time and throw up some good content out there. All right, God bless y'all. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.